afternoon, and welcome to this story time with Miss Walker. Today, we are beginning a new book. We are going to be beginning Explorer Academy, the Nebula Secret. Um, and the back cover tells us that the adventure, danger, and a thrilling global mission await 12-year-old Cruz Coronado as he leaves behind his home in Hawaii to attend the prestigious Explorer Academy, where he and 23 other students from around the globe will train to become the next generation of great explorers. But for Cruz, there's more at stake. No sooner has he arrived at the academy than he discovers that his family has a mysterious past with an organization that could jeopardize his future. And in the midst of the code breaking and cool classes, new friends, amazing augmented reality adventures, Cruz must tackle the biggest question of them all: who is out to get him and why? And currently, there's 4 books to this series. So this is the first one, the Nebula Secret. Um, and so here we go with chapter 1. And I'll try to get up close enough so you can see that this is a map. This page shows us a map. And chapter 1 is entitled Cruz. And up there at the top is a map that's got the islands of Hawaii. Cruz! His name floated easily to him across the water. Cruz turned to see his dad waving him from the beach. It couldn't be time to go already, could it? Knee deep in the warm surf, Cruz raised his arm. He spread his fingers to beg for 5 more minutes, please, he whispered into the breeze. In about 3 hours, he would be leaving for Explorer Academy. It was a long way from Kauai to Washington, D.C., 4,882 miles to be exact. And Cruz was scared. What if he didn't make any friends? What if he couldn't handle the training? What if he disappointed his family and his friends and his teachers and everybody who expected him to be somebody, even if he wasn't sure he could be? His father was giving him the thumbs up. Yes. Pushing the what ifs from his mind, Cruz faced the tangerine sunset of Haluni Bay, and he would think of everything else later. On He slid his belly onto the surfboard and began windmilling his arms through the trepid teal waters as he had done thousands of times. He had been surfing for as long as he could remember. His dad teased him that he spent more time in the water than out of it, which was probably true. Cruz loved the sweeping motion of the waves. The water was a constant and dependable, comforting. Approaching the break, Cruz grasped the sides of his surfboard. He pushed the nose underwater as a smooth duck dive and the swell passed over him. Surfacing, he paddled out a bit further and cut a 45-degree turn that put him parallel to the beach. Lining himself up with the end of a long pier, he sat, straddled on his board, legs dangling. He liked the takeoff zone. It was the calm before the ride, as Lani said. Bobbing like this, he could think about anything or nothing. The choice was up to him. On his last day home, Cruz didn't want to think. He just wanted to feel. He wanted to feel every sensation and remember. To his left, beyond the crescent-shaped inland, rose an emerald peaks of the mountains to the northern shore. In the fading light, it was easy to pick up on the white waterfalls cascading down the creases of the hill. Cruz spotted his dad walking through the parking lot. Geez, sailboats 20 miles offshore could probably see that crazy bright yellow and blue zigzag shirt. His father would be headed back up to Goofyfoot, their surf shop, to close for the night. Cruz glanced to the right, to the deep orange sunset. It was as if the glowing orb had rolled out of the carpet of light across the ocean just for him, just to say goodbye. And he was sure going to miss this place. You don't have to go, Lani said last spring when he told her he'd been accepted to the academy. Her words stung. Lani was his best friend, the one who had always found the silver lining. Not that he blamed her. They'd have both applied to go to the school, yet only Cruz had been accepted. Had he come as a shop, he had thought Lani would have been chosen over him. She was so much smarter, more creative. But then the certified letter had arrived for him. It was impressive. It was fancy parchment with shiny gold seals. So here's what the letter looked like when it arrived. Cruz's aunt Marisol, who taught anthropology at the academy, had said they only accepted 25 or so students per class from around the world. It was quite an achievement to be admitted. Still, Cruz wondered, had he earned it? His aunt had likely pulled strings to get him in, or could it have been offered out of guilt? Cruz's mom also worked at the society. She had been a neuroscientist with the synthesis, its scientific arm. 7 years ago, there was a bad accident in her lab. It had taken her life. Another synthesis scientist, Dr. Elistar Fallowfield, had also died in the tragedy. That was all anyone would tell Cruz and his family. That, and his mother had been in the wrong place at the wrong time. Cruz hated that saying. Isn't everyone who accidentally dies in the wrong place at the wrong time? I thought the plan was for us to go to the academy together, Lani said to Cruz. Yeah, but Aunt Marisol thinks, of course your aunt wants you to go now. She's going to be there. What do you think? Cruz knew Lani wanted him to say he would ask the school to let him wait a year. That would give Lani another chance to apply. He wasn't sure that was a good idea. Cruz was afraid if he didn't go this year, they wouldn't invite him again. There was something else, too, a feeling. No, it was more than a feeling, but he couldn't explain it. He knew he had to obey. I think his breath had caught. I think I want to go now. Lani had thrown her hands up. Well, that's it. Then go. Fine. Don't be mad. We'll still be able to see each other whenever we want. And even when I go aboard Orion, she raised a suspicious eyebrow. Right. Like you're going to call me from an explorer's ship halfway around the world. Why not? I have Mel. They're letting you take your MAV? Mel was Cruz's honeybee drone, a micro air vehicle, or MAV, no bigger than his thumb. It was a gift from his dad last year after Cruz had strained his knee so that he would be able to see the surf even when he couldn't feel it. Turned out he only missed a few days surfing. Uh-huh. Cruz had given her smirk. See, it won't be so bad. I can give you the scoop on what it's like, so when you get in next year, you'll be all set. All we have to do is pretend you're in my room and I'm in mine instead of half a world away, she said wistfully, yet twisting her hair as a sign of surrender. Come on, Lonnie, he pleaded. I need your support. Oh, okay, hey, okay. But you better stay in touch, or so help me, I'll track you down all the way to the North Pole if I have to. She wasn't kidding. If Cruz had learned anything, it was that when Lani Kalanu said she was going to do something, she meant it. Absolutely, he said. As dad Easy as dad's guava pie. She folded her arms. You know I hate pie. Girls. There, Cruz spotted his wave. Dropped to his chest, he flattened himself against the board. As the swell rolled in behind him, Cruz turned for the shore and paddled hard. His strokes were strong and deliberate. Timing was key. Pop up too early, and he'd miss the crest. Too late, and he'd wipe out. Cruz could feel the surge growing behind him. Almost time. Just a few more seconds. He felt the tail of his board begin to lift. Cruz arched his back, pushed off with his hand, planted his feet under him, right foot in front, left in back. A goofy foot position. Most right-handed people surf with their left foot in front, but not Cruz. Slowly, he lifted himself into a low crouch. The moment the wave broke under him, he let go of the board and rose, hands out for balance. Cruz felt the familiar, smooth glide of success. He hit the crest perfectly. Woohoo! He yelled, angling the board inward. Mist sprayed his face as he made a sweeping S pattern through the curl of the water. Cruz shifted his weight, skimming left and then right, then left to ride the swirl as far as he could. Surfing made him feel powerful, free, invincible. If only that feeling would last longer than a TV commercial. Cruz rode the wave inland until it dissipated into foam. Reaching for the Velcro strap on his ankle that tethered him to the board, his hand hesitated. Hadn't it hadn't been 5 minutes yet, had it? Maybe one more run. Charging back into the foam, Cruz tossed his board into the water, hopped on, and paddled out past the break. As before, he scooted right up to the straddle of his board. Cruz was lifting his left foot to double check the ankle strap of the leash when he felt a strong tug on his right heel. It wasn't a swish like a fish or a turtle passing. It was a good pull. It could mean only one thing: shark. Cruz tried to slide to the left side of his board away from the shark. He put but it had a firm hold of his ankle and he was being dragged down way away from the surface. Don't panic, kick. Cruz clung to his surfboard, the only thing that could keep him afloat. He kicked with all his might. If he could manage to turn around, he could use the board to bop the shark on the nose and break loose. As he struggled, millions of thoughts raced through his head. Stupid. Shark's feet at dusk. You should have gone when Dad called you. You're not supposed to drown, stupid. He was swallowing water. He couldn't breathe. No, no, no. The words pounded to the rhythm of his heart. He would not die this way. His lungs were burning. His energy was waning. Cruz twisted his body in a last effort to strike a blow. He lashed out and hit something smooth and hard. Bubbles swam around him. He saw a yellow snake. No, a tube. This was no shark. It was a person. His thrashing had knocked the air hose loose from the diver's tank. Cruz felt a sharp pain in his ankle, and then suddenly he was free. Through the bubbles, he caught sight of a pair of fins, a diver moving away. Here's a picture, the illustration. Cruz stroked for the surface, his chest on the verge of exploding. He pushed his arm through the water, up and out. He kept his feet moving, kicking, kicking. Finally, he reached surface. Cruz gurgled up for air in his lungs. His and gulped all the air as his lungs could handle. Treading, he spun around, his arms diving from the pier to the beach to the horizon and back. He did several circles, but didn't see anyone nearby. Take it easy. You're okay. He's God. You're okay. Cruz clung to the flung his surf. Ugh, let me start again. Cruz flung his arm behind him, groping for the surfboard still tied to his leg. He tried to slide it under his body, but he was shaking so much it took him a few tries to do what normally came naturally. Clutching his board and looking over his shoulder, he rode the tide until he scraped the bottom. Still grasping, Cruz rolled off the board and onto the wet sand. Never had he been so happy to be back on land. He lay on his back for several minutes, feeling himself breathe. His hands tingled, his throat was raw, and his right ankle throbbed, but he was alive. Cruz stared at the deep violet sky and his first wrinkling stars of the night. One word kept scrolling through his brain. Why? All right, guys. And we will stop there at the end of chapter 1, and we will pick up with chapter 2 on Wednesday.